Now we review Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. I think this is the sixth one. Yeah, this is the sixth one, I think. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so, I had honestly forgot at some point that I hadn't seen all of the, Halloween movies. I think the first one I saw in theaters was Halloween H2O, and I honestly believe that was my introduction to the franchise. Halloween, that's Halloween 7, basically. Halloween 6, very common to the Halloween franchise, is trying to live in the same continuity with at least the first film, and I believe in this case the first and second film. But this one is the one that introduces the infamous Cult of Thorn timeline. And I believe this film did so poorly at the box office that they dropped the Cult of Thorn completely. And Thorn is apparently, at least in the continuity, I don't know how real it is, continuity of the film is a Celtic rune. It looks like a thorn. You know, it's a line with a thorn or triangle shape on it. And, you know, Michael Myers is the cultist of Thorn, and the Cult of Thorn have created a living embodiment of the god or deity or whatever it is, the demigod, that is ruled by Thorn in order to ensure prosperity. So Thorn's thing is that, you know, he expects a self-sacrifice. Blood of your blood must be spilt, which is an explanation for why Michael Myers is going after people. He's ending his bloodline, is what's going on. And of course, you know, the original movie, essentially what happens is that Michael Myers is sexually obsessed with his sister, and because he is a child, cannot penetrate her with his penis, penetrates her with a knife, and then goes after women, essentially seeking the incredible thrill that it was to do that. He is essentially a eunuch who penetrates with a knife instead of a penis. This is a Freudian interpretation of slasher films. Slasher films tend to have a very Freudian interpretation. That's what they break down to. You could argue here nor there, but the first film is essentially that, and it's very hard to break from that analysis. This gives you a deeper idea that Michael Myers is not simply killing because he has a brain malfunction, but he is indeed a supernatural entity. This one cements that idea. And you know, one of those things about the first movie is that it ended as a story so completely that anything that comes up after this is going to be something of a stretch. You know, he was shot at very close range multiple times by Loomis with a weapon large enough that it should have killed him. Okay? The second movie in the series had Michael Myers rising, and there being something distinctively strange about him. You know, he was apparently like 400 or 500 pounds despite being a reasonably slim individual. And this movie tends to explain that with his supernatural origin of him being the product of the Cult of Thorn. So it's neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. Now, one of the things about this movie is the larger Cult of Thorn is retroactively placed in the first movie. You can check the first movie. It's not there. I don't even believe that the house they're using for Michael Myers' house is the same house. But you have a new family living in that house who are kin to the real estate agent who was selling the house. But I guess they couldn't get the same actor, so they made it his brother instead. And then there's that. And then there are people living in the neighborhood who are cultists and supporting Michael Myers. And there's something about him looking to try to kill a baby because it's the last of his line. It's a weird movie, all right? Now, To be completely honest with you, it almost feels like this movie did not originally contain Michael Myers, but somebody dreamt up this Cult of Thorn stuff, submitted this movie, and somebody said, why don't we throw Michael Myers in there to make this franchise? Okay? And like somebody made a Halloween clone that was close enough to be copyright infringement, so they just said, no, F it. We'll throw it in there. There are references to Michael Myers being a different age, I think. There being a babysitter in the house when he killed his sister and all those kinds of things. So this film has a very poor continuity with any other movie in the series. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and I don't care. Now, where this movie does shine is that the Haddonfield setting, the cinematography is pretty strong. You have Michael Myers being creepy and standing there like a statue and scaring people. You have, all the colors of fall and everything that's going on there. You have Nimbus creeping on me. What are you doing under my desk? But, it's just one of those basic facts that you can see why this movie and its plot lines were eventually abandoned. Because it really does not have a lot of, it doesn't stand with the other films, and it doesn't stand alone either. There are characters from the original films that, make sense. This is an early Paul Rudd performance, in fact. And I believe this is the last film to be acted in by Donald Pleasence. I think this is his last performance in the Halloween franchise before his very sad passing. He looks quite old in this movie. But in the next film, I believe he just makes a cameo as a photograph, which is sad. I mean, you're never going to get a better Dr. Loomis than Donald Pleasence, even though people have tried. So, yeah. Continuity and whatever have you. But this is the thing about this movie, is it feels very forced. And as a movie that feels very forced, it does not stand up to the first film, which was an excellent film. So I still think that the first film is the best in the continuity, and then the second film would pretty much be my second favorite. This film, you can watch it, you can not watch it, you consider it canon, you can consider it a fever dream. It really doesn't make a lot of difference. Okay? You have no Laurie Strode, which will be brought back in the next film. But as far as Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers goes, it belongs in the lower half of your watch list. It is not a film that has a lot of strength to it. And if you neglect it from your Halloween viewing experience, you're not really missing much. There are no callbacks to this in the future movies so far as I'm aware. So this exists in its own little universe. It's its own little film. And that's all it's ever going to be. So anyway, lower half of your watch list. That's just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I, of course, am Richard.
Greetings, humanity. I'm Randall the Rat, and I'm here to remind you that, well, you should probably comment, like, and subscribe now. And why? Well, the world isn't all that great, and Random Street Theater here is trying to change it. We do things like have trash removed from the ocean, pay for trees to be planted, and even feed orphans. And you can help. You can comment, like, and subscribe, and it's free. When you think about it, if you don't do those things, well, what are you saying? Are you saying you don't care about the ocean and trees and even orphans? Well, sounds like you're a bad human. And you have a delicious face.